I made a new record of how many pages that I've journaled in one day. I journaled 18 total pages, well, 18 and a half if you want to count it. And this day was just one of the best days of my life. And previously, before this, I had journaled, the most that I had ever journaled in one day was 10 pages. And that was on the cusp of the new year, going down to the wire, just writing down a lot of things that I wanted to work on and a lot of things that I wanted answers to, and just all of that. So previously, before this, it was 10 pages, and now it's 18 and a half. And I feel really good about that. And I also would like to update that I finished, and I'm just obviously now talking to you guys about it, but I finished a full notebook. You can see this on my latest journaling video on YouTube. You can see towards the end I kind of flipped through the entire notebook and show you that I finished it. I think I finished on the 27th or the 28th of January. I'm not sure when I actually uploaded that video, but that made me feel really good because two of my goals this year are that I want to fill at least 15 journals front to back this year. And that's not like filler fluff. No, I want to intentionally journal through 15 notebooks. I really, really like this goal. And I think, should I succeed in this goal, I can't even fathom who I'm going to be in the year 2026. Even just on the journey already of completing one journal and going through that, just already the transformations and the changes and the upgrades and the mindset shift. It's beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I've come to this point where, I truly enjoy journaling now, and I enjoy the process of it, and I enjoy getting every detail on every single page, and I just enjoy the process. But the day that I journaled 18 pages, that was actually about a week ago. I'm a little wonky with my dates right now, but this was also a day, and I've been affirming this, quite a lot in the new year. This was also the day that I had affirmed multiple times that morning that that day would be the best day of my life. This is kind of just the way that I am closing all of my prayers lately, all of my affirmations. What I'm realizing with this powerful declaration is that there are so many flavors to it. There's so many layers to it. And I truly do look at this as one of the best days of my life when I journaled those 18 pages. And on this day, I revisited a very, very, very just magic filled course that I had purchased from one of my mentors. I hadn't visited it in a while, which I love doing because as I grow and expand, of course, different things are going to stand out. Different things are going to resonate that didn't necessarily stand out or resonate with me on that level before. And so I highly recommend this if you are someone, and of course you can't even like align with my content if you are not someone who willingly, eagerly, and happily invests in themselves. And so when you are buying courses, when you are putting yourself in masterminds, when you are doing all of these things, it is imperative that you revisit as you grow, as you learn the lessons, as you acquire the wisdom. You have to revisit because things will jump out at you. Things will come and make more sense. Things will click differently. It's very important that you do that. So between my revisiting the course and journaling prompts and performing one of the most intense manifestation rituals I had ever done, just having the most delicious protein packed dinner that evening, which I'll be creating a membership for us ladies to connect together and inspire each other through health and wellness and diet, and I'll be sharing all the things I eat and drink, my fasting, my fitness, my beauty rituals, and just so much more. So watch out for that. But this day truly was one of my best days ever. And I added some amazing little spells and invocations to my arsenal. And I truly feel that I've tapped into just another aspect of the God power within me. And I am just very excited to see how this plays out more in my life in this year. But play with this affirmation. Today will be the best day of my life. Say it after your normal daily affirmations. Say it after you pray over your food. Say it before you drink your water. Allow it to be a part of your daily conversation, your daily self-talk. I think you'll be surprised when you open yourself up to whatever that day could look like. You'll be surprised because we all have a very limited scope on what the best days, quote unquote, the best days will look like, usually revolving around, monetary things, receiving. And there's nothing wrong with that. You guys know I am a receiver just through and through. Okay, I love receiving. I love, love, love receiving. But I truly think, especially since turning 25, some of my best days actually have nothing to do with that. Of course, some of my best days do have to deal with that, an amazing vacation or an amazing celebration or what have you. But I have noticed that I'm excited for my best days to now revolve around how much I can give to others, how many people I can spread love and light to in one day or even in one sitting, in one conversation, and how much deeper I can go with my relationship with God. These things are very important to me, and I'm going to talk more about this, but I'm really excited for this new era. More giving, more generosity in general. It feels so good. Looking for something to light you up, if you're looking for a way to expand and just reach higher levels of gratitude, joy, appreciation, definitely find a way to give back in your community. You guys know I've began to volunteer at a local bird sanctuary as well, which has been just the most fun experience ever. It's been so beautiful. It's been so chaotic. It's been so fun. And I've met some beautiful souls there. If you're listening on my Spotify, definitely go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kalia Transcends. It's so adorable, and I think I'm gonna post on there about it. But I honestly think that this new frequency, that's kind of where it started also, me volunteering at this bird sanctuary. I just really always feel my highest vibe when I am being charitable with my time and or my energy and or my money to either, the younger generations, the elderly, or animals. And I've noticed these are just some of my favorite things right now. I mean, if you would see me in there, I am just like in heaven at this bird sanctuary. And I am someone who hasn't had really any experience with birds. I mean, there are macaws, there are pigeons, there are lovebirds, there are Amazons, and just so many. I can't even think of all of them. So many. But I never knew the birds had so much personality. I mean, if I could describe these birds, I would describe them as toddlers. They want your attention. They begin to scream when you come in. They scream when you leave. They love food, obviously. They like to bite at you and poke at you and try to get, they'll pull your hair if you let them. Um, but it's fun, and they talk to you all day. And the funniest thing is that, like, within the span of an hour, there have been times where I've been there all day, and within the span of an hour, I've said hello, hi, hello, hello, how are you? Like all of this, like millions of times within the span of an hour. And I remember I left the bird sanctuary and I went to Publix, and I'm walking in and I'm like, hello to everyone. And everyone's like, hello, which I usually am very chipper, but not that chipper, where I'm like, hello to everyone, like a parrot, literally. And it's just been fun, and it lights me up. It makes me laugh, and it makes me silly, and I just love being with the birds, and I talk to them and I laugh with them, and it has just been so fun. And I'm on a mission to get some of these birds. I'm making it a mission that we're going to be speaking positive affirmations in there. So I'm in there, and I'll probably show you guys on some of the clips, but I'm just walking around as I'm feeding them, and I'm like, I'm so beautiful. I'm so amazing, just waiting for them to eventually like pick up on it. Oh, they say the craziest things. They say the silliest things. There is one bird, Danny, and honestly, I am still a little unsure on whether or not Danny is a girl or a boy, because um like the woman who runs it, she calls her a she, so I call her a she. But then there's a volunteer that I met who's been there for 8 years, and she calls her a he. I don't know. Because when I heard the name Danny, I assumed he as well. But the lady who runs it called her a she. So I just say she. I don't know. But I have a video of Danny literally screaming and crying like a 1.5-year-old baby. It is crazy. I was the only one there. And I panicked immediately, like my mother instincts. I don't even have children, but like my motherly instincts just took over immediately, and I began to run around. I began to panic. Where is this baby? And then I actually got it on video of her doing that. And I'm like, it just doesn't even sound real. Like, why is this not more of a big deal that birds can do that? It's actually uncanny. But I just want to say that it has just lit me up from the inside. It has just allowed me to be more silly, like I said, be more just youthful, be more like present, and it's fun. It's really fun, and I love animals. You get used to the smell. You do. You get used to the smell. But it's been great. But so my point with saying all of that is that I truly believe that my energy that I am, exuding when I'm with these birds is like the jump start to so much of what's going on. Because when I go, sometimes I typically go, 8, 9 in the morning, and I'm there for some hours. And so that's the jump start of my day as far as being social and out of the house. Of course, I do my prayers and my journaling and I work out. When I go out into the world, being silly with these birds, and I'm being playful with these birds. I'm going to keep riding this wave. I'm going to keep volunteering and see where else I can extend myself. And oh my goodness, this reminds me of a story that I never told you guys. This was last year over the summer, actually, summer of 2025, just before the summer, maybe, April, May. And I remember I just woke up a random day, and I was just 10 times more playful and silly than ever. And I remember walking to this cafe that I was going to. It was it's right in the complex. And I was walking to this cafe, and there were birds oh my gosh! Oh my goodness. I'm literally tearing up. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is so cool. Wow, that just hit me. I just also got back from church, so I'm in a very open, my heart is extremely open right now. But wow, the first thing that I did that day, as I was walking to the cafe, there were little birds in the trees. I can't believe that I just found myself telling these two stories on the same episode. I love this. But I'm walking to the cafe, and one bird begins to chirp and sing, and I'm taking that as he's chirping and singing to me. And so I said, "No, you're so beautiful." And the bird continued to chirp and continued to chirp. And I said, "No, you're so beautiful." And then another bird jumped in, and I'm like, "Well, you're beautiful too." This is just me heading to the cafe and just having a playful conversation with God's beautiful creations. I'm telling the story a bit out of whack. So I had the little flirtation with the birds, and then I flirted with this beautiful little baby boy in the coffee shop, in the cafe, and it was just so beautiful. He just, oh my gosh, he kept following me around, and then he would point in his little cup, his little sippy cup, and like pointing at my water and pointing at his, and showing me his, and we're just talking, and he just wouldn't stop looking at me. And I had a really beautiful, just playful encounter with this baby, maybe an hour or two after I had the really beautiful, playful encounter with the birdies in the tree. And then I met a little girl in the restroom, and the door was so heavy. I hate this door. The door was so heavy, and it kind of sort of like just crushed her pinky toe, and she was bleeding and she was shaking and she was crying, and she's like, my mom is playing cornhole. And oh my gosh, you guys, I felt like this was a fail on my part, and I literally ran across the entire park in the opposite direction because I'm panicking, right? When you just go, go, go because a child needs something. So I'm panicking. I go all the way across the park, and her mother is not over there because that's not where the cornhole is. The cornhole. The cornhole was literally on the other side of the building. If I had just turned right outside of the restroom, the cornhole was right there, but I turned left because I'm just on hyperdrive and my adrenaline, and I'm like, I need to find this woman. And so I eventually go back to the cornhole. And long story short, the little girl was found, and everything ended up okay. But I saw her a little later after talking with all of the parents at cornhole. And so I see the little girl a few hours later. I had gone out for dinner, and I see her running around and laughing, and I'm like, you okay now? Are you good? You're fine? And she's like, yeah, I'm much better, thank you. She gave me the biggest hug. And so there is something that happened this day, and I'll keep this brief because it's really not about this guy. It is truly not about him. But there was a guy that I had met. I had a vacation, and there was a guy that I had met because I was at that same cafe doing my work. I was actually writing my book, The Ultimate Health and Wellness Guide. Again, when a woman is on her mission and doing her thing and working on herself and getting things done, that's when she's the most magnetizing. And then add on to the fact that I'm just flirting with life in this way. But the first day that I met this guy wasn't the day that I was flirting with the birdies and the babies. That wasn't the same day. But I'll tell you briefly, I was sitting outside of the coffee shop at one of the outside tables because this shop was just freezing, and so I wanted some sun on my face. And he walked by, and he stopped me. He's like, what are you working on? Nice to meet you. I'm such and such. And I'm like, oh, I'm just writing a book, blah blah blah. And then he was silly. This went nowhere, by the way, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, I had met him and like bumped into him in the neighborhood maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I had gone on vacation, and then I came back, and I'm like, oh, I hope I see him again, that kind of thing. And then I go on vacation again, and I come back, and then this day that I am flirting with the birdies, and I'm flirting with the babies, and I'm laughing with the little girl after she feels better, and that's my focus of the day. Not thinking, ooh, I wonder, like, when I go to Publix, am I gonna see him? I saw him like 4 times that day. 4 times I saw him. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to tell the story. Like, I was at lunch, and he walked up to me. Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. He walked up to me, and he walked up in a way of like he had saw me from afar, clearly, but he walked up and got into my view and pretended to be like shocked, like, oh, it's you. And I'm like, oh, hi, and I'm just like coy, I'm playing it cool, whatever. And then he just disappears behind me. I continue my lunch. And then I'm just sitting there, like, none of this matters, but this is funny. I just want to say, I'm sitting there like, oh, he pretended like he didn't see me, but because I was sitting on the outside, the outdoor seating of this particular restaurant for lunch, and he literally walked through the outdoor seating. This is my thought process, like, whatever, like that. He clearly just walked all the way through this restaurant just so he could be seen by me. And then I get up and I finish my food maybe an hour later, and I get up, and I go to pay at the table or at the hostess stand because it was getting busy and I couldn't find my host or my server. And I get up and he was sitting behind me the entire time. He was sitting behind me with his family the entire time. I found out it was his brother and his sister, his sister-in-law, and their son. And he was like taking them out to lunch. So I'm sitting there because my back was turned to the table, and so I'm sitting there. Again, this story it's just funny because I'm like all like cocky in my head, like, oh yeah, he just walked through this restaurant just to be seen by me, and he just tried to pretend to be shocked when he saw me. It's like, no, he was sitting behind me the entire time, and he was staring at me the entire time. I soon found out. And like I get up and I see him, and I had to play it so cool that I saw him because it was just so funny. And so I turned around and he's like staring at me, and like his brother staring at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, luckily I haven't done anything silly, or like they didn't see me talking to myself, but that was funny. But that wasn't the point of the story. I just remember that was really silly of me thinking, oh, look at him. But really, he was behind me. He had a table. But yeah, so the point is, the day that I was just extremely just playful and silly was the day that I was the most magnetizing to this guy, to where I ran into him 4 times in one day. Once at Publix in the produce section. Once he was driving the car. The point is, I'm looking forward to now hopefully bumping into him again or seeing him again, but it would never really happen. The moment I was focused on my own playfulness, my own, silliness, that's when he just couldn't stay away from me. Like 4 times in one day is ridiculous. And so this guy, he wasn't meant to be my husband. We weren't even meant to go on a real date. We never exchanged information. It wasn't about that. It was about the lesson in magnetism. The lesson in magnetism and detachment. That's what it was about. And so if you're extremely attached to a certain outcome, to a certain desire, which we all are, for me, I am attached to so many desires right now that I just want with every fiber of my being. If we can just get to what I just said, the silliness, the playfulness, then that's when we'll see that we'll have more best days of our lives. And I'll go back to my original point, is that being with these birds and being so silly, every time that I'm with these birds and I volunteer, the rest of the day is just beautiful. The rest of the day is just so aligned, and I'm just so magnetic. And it's because, for one, I'm starting my day this way. I would go in the early mornings, and for two, I'm just soaking up my own energy, and I'm basking in that energy of love with life, love with God's creations, love with these beautiful creatures. And so I would just like to say that you never really know. Don't be so locked in to what a best day could look like for you. I know we all have our best days. Like, my best day would be when I get this new milestone of a month of income in my business, or get proposed to, or all of these things. And those can be our best days. But I also want us to just remember that when we are truly being light with our energy and being loving with our energy and being open, and our hearts are open, that is when we can be introduced to and aligned with more than we could ever really imagine for ourselves, as far as what a beautiful best day could look like. And I'm loving this time of my life where I am seeing the variety and the beautifulness of just how many different ways that I can have a best day. There are other times, and like I said, I say today will be the best day of my life quite a few times a day. There was another time where the best day of my life was the fact that I ran into a new business mentor and a new business coach and a new, visionary milestone leader. And so that was truly one of the best days, because a fire is already lit under me again, just through coming into, contact and being in the vicinity of her energy and her work and her magnetism and her vision. It's just been amazing. That was truly one of the best days, because now the things that I am doing that I'm going to share with you guys, the hacks, it's going to be amazing. I am just becoming really a lot more creative with my manifestations and with my rituals and with my just the way that I'm seeing things. And I really truly love that. That was one of the best days of my life. I remember exactly where I was every single time I met my mentor. I have quite a few mentors and coaches right now, but I remember where I was, who I was, and what I was feeling at every point where I met each of my mentors and coaches. And each time was so pivotal. It was so mind boggling and limiting belief shattering. And so that truly was one of the best days of my life. And now I love it. I love it so much. And I'm excited to continue to work with her. And that's going to be great. Another best day of my life was literally just a day where I enjoyed my dinner on an entirely different level. An entirely different level. And this is something that I was just praising God for today in church earlier this morning. I was just praising God because it hit me last night again and again. This always hits me, and every time it hits me deeper and more intimately, that I am standing in so many answered prayers right now. I am standing in so many just miracles. I am standing in so many miracles, so many blessings that I begged for, that I prayed for. I am becoming a woman of my wildest dreams, and I don't give it enough time. I don't give that enough praise. So many of us are just sitting around waiting for the next thing, waiting for the next thing. Yeah, this was great, but I also want that. But when can I get that? But when can I get that? And you forget that a few weeks ago, a few months ago, a few years ago, maybe even a few decades ago, your when can I get that? You're standing in it right now. You're holding it right now. You're being it right now. You were praying to become the woman that you are right now. You were praying to have the things that you have right now. Don't lose sight of that because, you're desiring more, and there's nothing wrong with desiring more. First thing that I do when I journal, my first full page of journaling every single day is strictly gratitude. Everything that happened the day before, everything that I'm grateful for. I've also decided that I should have a separate, this is random, but I just thought about it. I also decided that I should have a separate journal for my language learning. And because it doesn't make sense. I was just talking to a new friend of mine that I met in church, and it doesn't make sense where I'm sitting here, writing about one thing, and then I just switch to, oh yeah, and French, and like, it just doesn't, no, it doesn't work. So I decided that that's really fun. The God within yourself, the pleasure within yourself, the silliness within yourself, and just the happiness within yourself. When that is your main focus, when that is what you're feeding your attention to and your energy to, you will become magnetized to all that you desire. The peaceful nights of sleep, everything, that's my first page of journaling. It's always gratitude, and it always leaks into the second and third page usually, because when you get going, energy compounds on itself. Have you noticed that, when you get that first negative thought, another one comes just like it, and another scenario comes just like it, and then a negative reaction to the negative scenario comes up, and now you're just in a whirlpool of negative emotions? Well, the same exact thing applies to gratitude and appreciation. As soon as your brain thinks of one affirmation, one positive affirmation, one thing to be grateful for, your mind creates just a laundry list. Now you're on a rampage, all of the similar things that you can say a positive affirmation about. And so if we just allow ourselves to get addicted to the positivity, and it's easier said than done, of course, but Just remind yourself of that. Even if you have to set alarms to say, I'm standing in my answered prayer. Set an alarm that goes off every 5 or so hours or 3 hours and just label it, I am standing in my answered prayer. And even if something in that moment there's some sort of conflict or some sort of adversity or negativity, still find a way to see the silver lining in that thing, to say, well, yeah, I'm annoyed about this, but I'm grateful that I can even be in the position to be annoyed about this. I am still standing in my answered prayer. Do that. Set an alarm if you have to. I have a good news alarm right now where it goes off, I think, maybe 4 or 5 times a day. I'm receiving good news in the next 24 hours. And every time it goes off, I stop whatever I'm doing. I pause whatever I am doing. And I go into, a prayer of, God, thank you. I know that I'm receiving the most amazing news in the next 24 hours. I know something miraculous is happening for me in the next 24 hours. Within 24 hours, another prayer will be answered. Within 24 hours, another promise will be delivered to me on a silver platter with ease, peace, grace, and safety. And within 24 hours, something beautiful will happen. And I just say these things and I affirm these things and I declare these things. And I have that. That's my current, alarm reminder right now. So confidence, dedicated to that. Healing, dedicated to that. Business ideas, dedicated to that. Dedicated to creativity, dedicated to being able to receive from the all infinite intelligence. Whatever it is, I think we should all have some sort of reminder, alarm reminder. What is going on? Oh, someone's like texting me back to back. Jesus. Nice to meet you. This is actually, oh my gosh, magnetism in real time.